The passport incident. I still remember the exact moment I realized what she'd done. Standing in my bedroom doorway at 6 a.m., rolling suitcase beside me, reaching for my passport in the desk drawer where I always kept it and finding nothing but empty space. My flight to Rome was leaving in 4 hours. Looking for something. I turned to find my sister Rebecca leaning against the hallway wall, arms crossed, that infuriatingly smug expression on her face. The same look she'd worn our entire childhood whenever she'd gotten away with something. "Becca, where's my passport?" My voice was already shaking. I knew, somehow I already knew. "Gone," she said simply, "torn up and flushed down the toilet about an hour ago." The words didn't make sense at first. My brain couldn't process them. This was my dream trip, 2 weeks exploring Italy, something I'd been planning and saving for over a year. I'd budgeted every euro, researched every museum, booked every train ticket and hotel months in advance. "You're joking," but I could see from her face she wasn't. "You should have just agreed to watch the kids," Rebecca said, examining her fingernails. "I told you I needed you this week. Mom and Dad are in Florida, Jake's sister Bilaid, and I can't miss this work conference. But no, you had to be selfish about your little vacation." My little vacation? 3 years of 70-hour work weeks. 3 years of no social life, no dating, barely seeing friends, just grinding away at a job I hated to save enough money to finally do something for myself. And she'd called it a little vacation. "You destroyed my passport," I could barely whisper it. "That's a federal crime, Rebecca." She shrugged. "Prove it. It's your word against mine. And honestly, who's going to believe you didn't just lose it? You've always been scatterbrained." The casual cruelty of it took my breath away. This was my sister. We'd shared a bedroom growing up. I'd been her maid of honor. I'd thrown her baby shower, had been in the delivery room when her twins were born. I loved those kids like they were my own. But apparently, none of that mattered as much as her convenience. I called the passport agency anyway, hoping for some kind of emergency replacement. The earliest appointment available was in 3 weeks. My non-refundable flights, my hotel reservations, my train tickets, all worthless now. The customer service representative's sympathetic voice only made it worse as she confirmed what I already knew: I wasn't going to Italy. Rebecca left 20 minutes later with her suitcase, calling over her shoulder that she'd dropped the twins off with Jake before heading to the airport. "They're easy kids," she said. "Just keep them entertained. There's pizza money in the jar." I stood in my apartment, surrounded by my packed luggage, my carefully organized folder of confirmations and itineraries, my new Italian phrasebook, and I cried. Not pretty crying, the ugly, snotty, gasping kind that comes from somewhere deep in your chest. Then I called my parents. "She did what?" My mother's voice could have shattered glass. I explained everything. My father got on the other line, and I'd never heard him sound so angry. "We're getting on a plane right now," he said, "and Rebecca is going to pay you back every single cent you lost, plus damages. We'll also be having a serious conversation about her children," my mother added coldly, "and her priorities." But it was my best friend Mara who helped me see the situation clearly. "Your sister is a manipulative narcissist," she said bluntly when I called her. "She's always been this way, and your family has always made excuses for her. This isn't about babysitting. This is about control. She couldn't stand that you were doing something for yourself." She was right. I'd spent years accommodating Rebecca, changing my plans, dropping everything when she called, making myself smaller so she could shine brighter. And she'd repaid me by sabotaging the one thing I'd done purely for my own happiness. I made a police report. The officer told me that while passport destruction was indeed a federal offense, these family situations were complicated and difficult to prosecute. But I wanted it documented. I wanted a paper trail. I also called a lawyer. She told me I had grounds for a civil suit: destruction of property, intentional infliction of emotional distress, possibly more depending on what evidence I could gather. It would be expensive and time-consuming, but it was possible. When Rebecca returned a week later, she found herself served with papers. She also found her children at our parents' house and my mother's ultimatum: get therapy and make this right or lose their support entirely. No more free babysitting, no more financial help, no more safety net. Rebecca tried to laugh it off at first, then got angry, then tried to play victim. "It was just a passport," she kept saying. "I'll pay for a new one. Why is everyone making such a big deal about this?" But it wasn't just a passport. It was my time, my money, my dreams, my autonomy, all things she'd felt entitled to destroy because they inconvenienced her. The legal process took months. In the end, Rebecca settled out of court, paying me back for the trip costs plus additional damages. It wasn't cheap for her, and that was the point. Actions have consequences. I rebooked my Italy trip for the following year. This time, I kept my passport in a safety deposit box until the day I left. I didn't tell Rebecca my travel dates. I barely spoke to her at all anymore. Standing in the Sistine Chapel 12 months after the original trip should have happened, I felt something shift inside me. I'd spent so much of my life trying to maintain peace, trying to be the good sister, trying to keep everyone happy, and it had gotten me nowhere except taken advantage of. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we'd never expect. Sometimes family can be toxic, and sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is walk away. I haven't spoken to Rebecca in over a year now. My parents tell me she still thinks I overreacted, that I should just forgive and forget, let bygones be bygones. But I'm done making myself smaller for people who can't appreciate my worth. My Italy trip, when I finally took it, was everything I dreamed of and more. And I took it entirely on my own terms, free from obligation, free from guilt, and free from my sister's shadow. Some bridges are worth burning.